Right, so we're back live with my precious colleague and friend and co-host of the event, George Stoyanov. Hi, George.
Hi, Ivan.
Yeah, you moved your location from yesterday. You were here at our office. So great to have you once again here. Now you're going to be in the shoes of a presenter and a speaker, covering a very, very interesting topic. But before that, I would love to hear from you about what you've heard so far from those 1.5 days. And of course, to touch upon on some of the interesting topics that we already saw or heard.
The future is now. I think this conference managed to really. I said it yesterday, but now it's proved. It's been proven that this conference has managed to gather experts from almost any industry of the present and of the future. I mean, almost anything that's like booming right now, or it's expected to boom. We've heard either some facts, some trends, or even some demos. We've seen some demos. So for me, it was impressive. It was immersive, interesting experience. Of course, it still is. The conference still continues. I have several presentations for this afternoon that I'm really looking forward to as well. So my humble impression is that we've managed as a host really to put together a good agenda, a good schedule for everyone interested, not just in one niche sphere, but as a whole, what digitalization offers and is going to offer in the next years.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was also the main goal of the event, to present the universe called digital transformation. This is why we are wearing spacesuits and we're traveling through space and time. But it's really mesmerizing how many are the elements of a digital transformation journey. We already heard and saw different ideas and approaches on how you can undergo digital transformation, where you need to start, and what is the thing that you don't need to forget the most. And I think now, yesterday, the main highlight, or I think the main line, was talking about people and humans in the center of this. And I think this is still the case. But what we heard from Pavel from Digital, it was also really important that humans and security and trust are going along the way of creating this ecosystem or a universe of digital solutions that is bringing a certain enterprise to another level. So what I actually think is that in the future we will be having the notion of creating our own personal security. And Pavel mentioned something about the home, and where now it's quite actually trendy to work from home, and you need to align the security from where you're working with the security of your company's assets. So it's really important, and I think this will be something from the future, or in the coming years. People as individuals, are going to invest in creating their personal security, that of course will be aligned with the companies that they're working with. So that's something very interesting, I think. Okay, now we're moving slowly to the topic that you're going to cover, the future of revenue operations and revenue enablement, and how they unlock the key to massive business growth in software as a service industry. Very interesting concept about revenue operations. I know that you're going to elaborate on that and share lots of interesting insights. So I think without any further delay, I can give you the floor, and you can just start by sharing your presentation.
Amazing. All right, let me start.
You know how to share, right? So here there is a button.
I know how to share.
Yeah, great.
Let's do it. Just confirm if you can see. You can see, I suppose, right?
Yeah, it's coming.
Great. All right. So, as Ivan mentioned, we are speaking about revenue operations, revenue enablement. a topic that might be new for some people that are watching us today, and for others it might be something that they are hearing, they are reading about every day, just because in some industries this topic is really becoming something common, something very popular, something that businesses cannot do without. And for some other industries, this topic is still something to research about, to think about, and it's more of a new concept. But today, I know I have in the title of this presentation specifically, focus on the SaaS, software as a service industry. But I think most of the things that I'm going to cover are industry independent. In fact, just I've decided to say that revenue operations, revenue enablement, it to some degree helps software as a service industry a lot, but recent studies, recent research points out that if revenue operations, if revenue enablement is implemented really well, it can in fact help any industry. So it's quite an industry agnostic concept. But let's go to the next slides, just for if you don't know what it is, or if you are not so familiar with that concept, I will show you today in detail. Before that, for anyone who doesn't know me, for anyone who hasn't watched yesterday, or if we haven't met with some of you who are watching us today, several words about me, who I am. Right now, I'm leading the digital enablement and revenue operations team at Limacon, who, we are the host of the conference for yesterday and today. In the past 4 or 5 years, I've implemented more than 50 projects concerning, on the one hand, revenue operations, on the other hand, digital transformation, CRM implementation. And, when you're implementing such projects, when you are into such projects, usually you are dealing a lot with change management people, adaptation people, management. You need to be very good at how you are delivering information to the people you are working with, in order for them to accept, approve, adapt to the concepts that you are putting on the table. And on the other hand, you need to be very good at technology and business, in order to understand their processes and to try to make them better, to optimize them. We are automating a lot of the process as well, so that after every project that we are doing, people really see a difference in how they are operating. They can take a breath of fresh air and really see value in what we are doing. And the main thing that right now this department at Limacon is focused is specifically CRM implementation and sales operations, marketing operations, customer service operations, all put into one platform. As main platform that we are using right now, it's HubSpot, and it's ecosystem of technologies, which is more than 1,000 right now, meaning almost every piece of technology that's in the marketing, sales, customer service sphere, we are working with it, almost anything. In terms of my background, my expertise, as I said, I'm working a lot with HubSpot, but I'm also Salesforce certified, because you need to be very good as a whole in the industry in order to understand how concepts are working, how technology is built, and how, as a whole, this industry is transforming. Right now, HubSpot and Salesforce are very different universes. They have very different use cases. There are specific use cases when you need HubSpot, other use cases when you need Salesforce. Right now, we are more focused on the use cases that are better fit for HubSpot, which is scaling companies, those companies that want really to grow, to develop themselves, and to reach a point where they are the new leader in the industry where they have headed towards. On the other hand, in the recent years, I've gone through some very interesting programs in University of Amsterdam, Vienna Business School of Economics. It was 1 year of specialty programs there, which was very interesting. It again enriched me with concepts about digital business, which I'm using every day. And my passion, in fact, is all about solving complex business problems through technology and, the business acumen, which I'm accumulating and developing every day. So enough about me. Let's go to really and deep down into the topic. Just I want you to put yourselves into the following situation. If you are a person into the who is working very much in let's say customer experience, you might be marketing person, you might be salesperson, you might be operations person, you might be customer support or customer success person, anywhere in this niche group of people working to make customers happier and to attract them to your brand. Probably you've participated into the following meeting or the following situation. Marketing team gathers, sales team gathers, customer service team gathers. And what happens? Marketing team has their own report. They're presenting. For the past 3 months, we have managed to increase the lead generation efforts a lot. And right now we have, let's say, 19% growth into the leads we have generated. On the other hand, the sales, which is staying on the other, on the other side of the table, they're very confused because right now they're seeing some decline, some drop in the number of qualified or even as a whole number of leads, potential clients coming from marketing, and they're saying, well, yeah, you're saying that you are saying there are good results, but in fact we are seeing even some decline, some dropping in the number of leads that are coming our way. And imagine this is happening in front of management, in front of sometimes even executives who you can imagine what an unpleasant situation is. There is immediately, it turns out that there isn't alignment between marketing teams, between sales teams, and sometimes if you include even the customer service teams of the organization, really the mess is full. And as I have written here, an unpleasant argument begins. Sometimes just everyone tries to prove themselves, tries to justify what they are saying, but everyone is looking at their own data, at their own results, and in fact everyone is right because they are looking at things from a specific different angle. And that's the reality in many organizations around the world. And this is a problem. This is a challenge for many organizations, and it's happening very often nowadays, even in organizations which are digital native. I mean, organizations that are born digital in the recent years. This is happening. And why is that happening? Why is that such an often case? There are several common reasons for that. On the one hand, it happens that when companies go digital, or sometimes they are digital, they're using a lot of tools, instruments, sometimes even platforms to manage their processes and data. Right now we are speaking about those more customer-centered departments of the organization, but still it's very often seen nowadays that still there are several departments that are responsible for the customer. The most common one, marketing, sales, and customer service, they use different channels to attract and retain those customers. And sometimes it's different channels. Sometimes those, using those different channels leads to using different tools and different platforms in order for them to do their work. What happens as a result of that? This is inevitable. I mean, it's in the nature of sales and marketing to think differently. Just there are different kinds of people. In order to be a good marketer, you need to have one specific kind of skills. In order to be a good, let's say, salesperson, you need to have other very specific skills in order really to do your job well. And it's kind of normal that tools, processes, as I said, platforms are different. But what does this lead to? This leads to fragmentation of data. It leads to a lot of silos in data, and this leads to the point where you cannot track the whole customer journey, the whole buyer's journey of your audience, of your of the people who are most valuable to you, your clients, your customers. Because as we said, if marketing uses 10 instruments in order to do their job, then tries to hand over some of the leads to sales, some of the qualified leads to sales, and then sales uses some other, let's say, even its processes, sometimes its tools, really, you know, the mess is full, the mess is inevitable. But bottom line, what does this lead to? It makes growth hard to achieve. In the heart of every organization, or at least many of the organizations around the world, if you are not a social enterprise, if you are a regular for-profit organization, you want to grow, you want to achieve results, you want to hire more people, you want to increase your profit margins, you want to be better at business every day, every year, and so on and so forth. But sometimes this is hard to achieve. And recent studies, it's not even recent studies only, but a lot of studies show that a lot of companies, here I'm saying that around 75% of companies, and it's not me that's saying it, I've taken it from some research papers, they say it's hard to increase revenue. If it's hard for you to increase revenue, that means you have a problem with your growth. It means that something somewhere is wrong. You might not have good product market fit. Yeah, that's possible. That's one of the reasons. But the other reason is that internally, your structure, your foundation, your operational, foundation is not built in a way that helps you, grow, helps you scale. This is easily said. I mean, everyone wants to achieve this easy foundation for themselves to grow, but it's hard to achieve. Why is it hard to achieve? Because getting back to the most common departments that companies, for sure in the SaaS world, but almost any company has. It's marketing, it's sales, it's customer service in terms of those customer-centric departments. Here you can see the landscape of marketing technologies that are officially known in the whole world. It's for 2022. Right now, I don't even know whether this is the absolutely total number of such technologies, but here the number is around 10,000, and it's just marketing technology. It's hard
we
to
can
read.
add here, George, sorry for jumping in, that those dots are actually logos of different companies, right?
Absolutely, it's hard to read that, and
Mesmerizing.
no matter how big you put this picture, it will continue to be hard to read. I've seen some attempts of the organization that is producing this report to paint this on a wall. It's on a big wall, and again, it was very hard to read. You can see here they are grouped in some way in different categories what they are doing, but still, really, it's a lot of different instruments and different technologies, and this increase has happened specifically in the past 10 years. When it was 2010, those instruments were around, I think, 200 and 300, and now it's 10,000, around 10,000 instruments. Here you can see the sales technology landscape. Here the situation is a little not so confusing. Here you can see some logos at least. The sales technology industry is not as developed as the marketing technology industries. It's forecasted that in fact, the next big boom for the next years is going to be in sales technology, but still there are a lot of tools that you can use, and they are all offering different functionalities. They are all offering different features, and you need to find a way based on your business processes, based on your business model, based on your customers, to find the most the tools that are fitting, your processes, that are fitting your budget, and that are fitting the needs of your customers, which sometimes may turn out hard. It may turn out to be really a long and hard to achieve process. On the other hand, you've seen probably, if you're in customer experience sphere, you've seen such or similar map which shows how, again, sometimes confusing, sometimes messy is the experience of a person who first of all, first is anonymous, and until they reach the stage at which they can trust your brand, they become your customer, and they are happy with you, it takes really a long way, and it takes really a lot of touches with your brand, a lot of a lot of things happen. And if you don't have the right environment where you are tracking those interactions, really you cannot have the right data. And getting back to what I showed, when you have those meetings, let's say with the executives, problems start appearing, problems start showing. How to solve that? How to solve that issue, which a lot of companies are in right now? Here is where the topic of revenue operations and revenue enablement comes. Basically, on the one hand, revenue operations is the simplest way to explain it. It's the mixture, the mixture of marketing operations, sales operations, customer service operations. Some people are also including financial operations and legal operations when it comes to the customer experience. But instead of all of those functioning separately, they are coming into one umbrella, and they start functioning as one thing. They start having common, shared, mutual processes. As many of the processes as possible are done in one platform, which has all the necessary integrations, all the people from different functional departments know how to use the platform, for the goal of having unified, consolidated data and being able to take business decisions that look the same for people that are more on the marketing side, for people who are more on the sales side, and so on and so forth. And here on this slide, you can see one very common, another definition of what revenue operations is. It's a new organizational model. Yeah, it's new. It sprung up, let's say, 10 years ago due to the rise of technology and due to the innovation of customer-centered processes. And its whole goal is to stimulate growth by boosting the effectiveness of all processes in the customer lifecycle. As I said, this starts with marketing, sales, and customer service processes, but more and more you need to add financial and legal operations as well, just because this sometimes is a part of the customer journey. In order to close a customer, in order to retain a customer, you need to have finance and legal departments sometimes as well in this process. It's inevitable, and all of you need to work together in order to achieve happiness, satisfaction for your customer, and solve for them. Just a small summary of what we've said. Business growth is impacted by. We said sometimes if you are using a lot of tools and there is no integration between them, they are not speaking with each other, this is causing data silos. It's something that everybody knows, basically. Just it's hard. Again, it's hard to achieve. It takes time. It takes expert. It takes resources in order to achieve that. But yes, nowadays, in order to have good data, marketing, sales, and as I said, finance and legal, they need to be unified in terms of processes and technology. Another thing that business growth is impacted by if you don't have full visibility over the buyer's journey, if you are looking at the buyer's journey from different angles, from different perspectives, yes, it's normal for you to take different views, different, different opinion. And neither is going to be 100% correct if you and your colleagues really have so different views in terms of the buyer's journey, because you are looking at it partially. You don't take the whole you don't look at 100% of it. Also, nowadays, it's, for me, if you don't have automation in your processes, you are wasting your time. I mean, high quality labor is costly. It's very expensive. People, people, in order to retain good people, good personnel, it's expensive. And on the other hand, you have technology nowadays which can help you automate this boring, repetitive part of your processes and really let your people start thinking, start being creative, start being more on the strategic side. And you need to do that. That's the only way for you to make sure that you're on top of what the world nowadays wants from you in order to stay on the wave of the top performing companies. And yeah, that's normal. Try to make as many of your processes automatic, or at least the repetitive ones. And yeah, if you haven't made that, probably your business growth can be impacted by that in a negative way. Also, sometimes Excel is your best friend to a lot of organizations because they are extracting data from one system, then extracting data from another system, and Excel is the place where they're trying to consolidate the 2 or 3 or whatever number of data pieces they have in order to produce a result. But again, that takes time. This can be done very easily if your systems are set in the one in a good way. Then service level agreement. Does your marketing team or your sales team or your finance team or whichever customer-centered team know what to expect from their counterparts, from their colleagues? Do they really know in what time they need to, let's say, does sales know in what time they need to reach out to the leads generated from marketing? Do finance know what's the best practice for sending an invoice after the customer success team has performed a specific activity? And if they know, is it really made like a process in a scientific way, proven that that's the best practice? Very often that's not the case. And this, believe it or not, probably, I mean, you can imagine it, this causes friction. It causes a lot of friction, and this hurts your clients at the end. And bottom line, as a conclusion to all of those things, we can take the illustration, the example, the association with a house. If you build a house and your foundations are not built right, you cannot have a house or a building with 12 floors. Just your foundation is not well laid, it's not well established, and if you start building a lot of floors, they're going to be destroyed just because the foundation is not right. And here is the same. If you don't have the right foundation in terms of processes, technology, mindset of the people, and really the adoption of all of that, it's hard to achieve this business growth that you might want to achieve. On the other hand, if you are using revenue operations, if you have really adopted the principles of revenue operations and the whole enablement of the revenue operations mindset and methodology, usually all of your data should be stored into one place. If your data is stored into one place, we are removing the friction when it comes to data manipulation, when it comes to automating repetitive processes, when it comes to personalization of the buyer's journey, and when it comes to knowing 100% of your buyer's journey. Then you have accurate reporting for sure, because your data is in one place. There is usually a person who keeps it clean, take cares for it, and you remove the embarrassment when the marketing team says we have growth and sales team says no, we have decrease in leads, in fact. And imagine what this, of course, is leading to faster decision making. Faster decision making, for executives and all the people who are in decision making position know, how if decision making process is sped up, what great results you can achieve with that. As I said, more automation, of course, that leads to better productivity and better team performance. And nowadays, 21st century, this leads to better visibility and accountability of the processes. It's not good to have no ownership on some of the processes, of course, you know that. And we are all striving towards having this visibility and accountability of the process. Well, revenue operations help you do that. And at the end, what does all of this lead to? Basically, if you manage to implement such a revenue operations mindset and foundation in your organization, it's inevitable for you to say that you have a very good strategic competitive differentiation created. There are industries where, for sure, if you manage to do that, you're going to become a leader in your customer-facing process. And there are industries like software as a service where you need to be right now on this level, because a lot of companies already are, specifically the companies that are, driving innovations forward, and everybody knows them. In terms of revenue operations, in order for it really to function well, it needs to have usually several pillars incorporated in an organization. On the one hand, you have strategy people, then you have insights, enablement, and technology people. Let me go over those one by one with several sentences to explain the idea of everybody. Usually, strategy people are the ones that are starting, a project when it comes to revenue operations, or if you have an in-house team, those are usually the more the high-level people. It might be a person in the executive team, a VP or director, who really, sets the direction of where we are going, and gathers a team of insights, enablement, and technology people who, technology people are more on choosing which technologies should be selected for an organization based on their processes. Insights people are more about the data manipulation, more about cleaning the data, ordering the data in the right way, so it's very easily, visualized, interpreted by the teams that need that. And enablement people are the ones that are, they're probably, everybody is important, but enablement people, they're helping everybody adapt to this new way of thinking, to this new way of understanding how the organization should work in terms of customer-centered processes. So they are going to every department, every single person, trying to explain the value of that, trying to explain why we're doing this change, measuring the effectiveness, asking for feedback from customers as well as people who are working in the company, and driving this whole process forward. And as I said, strategy people, they're the ones that are really driving the direction of that, of such a transformation, and very often helping with the formulation of the processes so that they can then, transfer that information to the rest of the teams. Have in mind, just before going to the next slide, a lot of people ask me and wonder, is that a branch of marketing? Is revenue operations a branch of marketing? Is revenue operations a branch of sales? Is it more on the technology? Where does this lay in terms of position? Where is it positioned? The thing is that if we look at the landscape of revenue operations professionals, There are people who are more on the technology side. There are people who are more on the marketing and sales side. There are people who are more on the operations side. But I believe the place where revenue operations has biggest value is in the management consulting industry, and in this, in this specific niche sphere, because only if it has only if revenue operations takes the strategic role in an organization, if it's put on the table where strategic people are, only then it has really a profound impact on the organization. It's not about just some technical people doing some stuff, or some marketing people doing some stuff, or some operations people doing some stuff. If you are on the strategic table, then you can change things profoundly. Otherwise, it's just small incremental changes, which of course that's good. Incremental changes are good, but if you want really to achieve this growth, this fast development of the company, make sure revenue operations people are represented on the high level table of together with every other key function of your business. Just going a little bit on the scientific side, but just this is an example equation of what growth basically consists of in an organization. You have number of leads, then you have percent of deals that are closed won, and then you have the number or the percent of potential customers that are being qualified for your services. And also, sometimes you are also getting money from the support services or the retainer services that you, as an organization, perform. Imagine if you increase the number of leads with just several percent, or increase the number of or the percent of closed won deals, or just the percent of qualification with a little bit. Usually the difference, if you go to calculate that, is quite big. Just if you do 2% more leads, 2% more closed deals, and 5% better qualification, the result would be great for you, and you can achieve some sustainable results. The thing is that in order to measure that in a good way, and really to be able to calculate this equation, this growth equation, again, we go to the topic of having it all in one platform in order to trust the data which you're using for those variables to calculate your equation. And as I'm saying here, each of those variables can have little change, but if you change all of them by very little, the impact is big. And usually this formula is straightforward, just in case you have the right foundation for calculating it. For organizations that are wondering how to start with revenue operations, that are on the that are on their journey right now to start thinking about that, have in mind right now platforms that enable you to really consolidate your process into one place. On the one hand, there are a lot of such platforms, but on the other hand, when you have your business requirements, this number of platforms gets a little bit restricted. If you want to take into consideration user experience, if you want to take into consideration time to deployment, if you want to take into consideration price, and so on and so forth. As our platform, as the main platform for doing revenue operations processes, we at Limacon have chosen HubSpot. We are a platinum HubSpot partner, one of the most active partners for the region, not only in Bulgaria, but Eastern Europe. I mean, right now, there is, to be honest, not a single platform that can host your all of your customer-centered processes into one place. But what you need to be looking for is to find a platform that can take more than half of your processes, that can help you then integrate in a very easy, in a very intuitive way all of your other processes through some instruments that should be in the ecosystem of your main platform, which contains, as I said, most of your processes, so that really you can have this strategic differentiation. For example, right now HubSpot is very good when it comes to marketing operations. It's amazing. You can achieve almost anything when it comes to sales operations. It got a great update recently for customer service operations, so you can do that as well in a very powerful way. And as here the image shows, all of the marketing, sales, customer service operations are stored in the CRM, apart from all the other data that usually a CRM stores. And thanks to its technology ecosystems, that is, I wouldn't say one of the best, I would say the best ecosystem that a software platform has in this sphere in the world. You can achieve streamlining some more specific sales processes, some more specific finance processes, and even some more specific, documentation, legal, and such processes, so that really HubSpot can serve as a single source of truth for you, thanks to it being a very good, by the way, a really intuitive platform to use, and having very simple to launch, simple to connect integrations. So if you have, as a recipe for success, if you have if you have the at least one person in your organization who understands data, technology, and processes, HubSpot would be for sure the place to start with. If you don't have such a person in your organization, for sure I would recommend you, I would advise you to start first of all with an agency, for example with a service that Limacon provides, and then gradually start developing such an in-house team that can take those take the foundation that an agency has built and continue building upon it and developing it. So that's from me. Thank you so much. And if anyone has questions, let me know.
Yeah, hi. I have some questions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, George. Thank you for presenting in such understandable way the concept of RevOps. To put it in another words, the future or the present already is good looking for companies that are understanding their client-facing team as a one whole, and that they start either building or optimizing those teams by aligning processes, aligning expectations. And it's very interesting your this example of how revenue operation is actually measured, this formula. It really strikes me that a very small percentage of new lead volume can actually be more impactful, because then all of the client-facing teams are going to expect that volume, and they're going to work together towards closing those leads, and of course delighting the new customer, which is quite important. And from your experience working with so many projects within Limacon and as well with other brands, and of course implementing HubSpot, I'm branded today quite well for this talk, or for the second day. Where do you see the challenges of moving away from focusing on, okay, we are a marketing team, we're doing this and this, and then we're handing over some leads and something happens there, and then at the end actually we don't know how our retention rate is going on, what are the client success teams are doing to, you know, keep customers happy, or to upsell or to cross-sell together with the sales team. So where are the challenges here? It's, I think, as you already shown in this, you know, full of dots slide, the technology is out there. We saw yesterday that there is a bunch, it's a huge volume of tech stacks out there on the market that can, you know, solve multiple problems or a very specific one. So I think it's not the challenge about having the technology, right?
Absolutely, yeah. As one of the panelists yesterday said, your question can be answered in multiple ways. It has a lot of answers, but let's take one direction. So it really is probably, I mean, it's for every sphere, but really it depends on where your company is operating, which is the market, which is primary for your company, where their focus is right now. Because there are markets where you cannot you cannot do without revenue operations. You cannot do without consolidating your process, just because everybody in your industry is doing that, and if you're not doing that, you're just dying. People don't want to work for you. Customers see some, friction, and it's just normal for you to adopt such a methodology or be on the journey towards adoption that. There are some other industries and some other markets where right now we notice a very interesting process where, let's say, there are 10 companies that right now are leaders in their sphere. When one of the companies adopts such a methodology, such a big change in their in the way they're operating their business, just the other companies see that something that they're doing for 10 hours, the other company is doing it for 1 hour, and it's doing it much better. And again, they start noticing some customers are preferring, this other company. People, best people are going to this company to work for it. And, they start realizing that if they want to be on top of it, they need to adopt that. Otherwise, they need to be second. They need to be, on the queue. So, and that's why I've included software as a service industry, because this industry is where we see a lot of adoption of such processes, specifically in the most developed market around the planet. Basically, there, almost everywhere, I mean, software as a service companies function in a way that no matter whether they're created in Bulgaria, UK, India, Japan, wherever, very often they are serving a lot of markets. It's not a rule, but it's often seen. So in almost any software as a service company, that's scaling up, that's in this stage, at least they have started thinking about that, or they have put some foundations, and some of them are at great heights. They have achieved great things. Startups, for startups, sometimes it might be hard, because startups have to think about a lot of things. They have a lot of challenges. They have to secure revenue, budget. They need to pay salaries.
But on the other side, they're actually more adaptive and flexible, I think. Because they're at the starting point.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I said you need to start at the beginning to build the right foundation for you. And then when you have one enough, well, let's say you have closed Series A, you go close Series B, you have the money, and now you can focus on really, having good processes and, very good foundation. And for a scale up, for a company that already has found its niche, its product market fit, that's the way to go.
Really well said. I think nowadays what we see is that still a lot of companies, and I don't mean only mature companies that are already on the market for a couple of years or tens of years or so, they are putting everything else first, but the technology ecosystem of the business. So when we speak about, let's say, for example, a startup, then you're starting with the product, of course, because this is something that we're going to differentiate from the competition. So you need to have something disruptive, you need to have something innovative, you have some edge on the product so that you can be competitive or be lucrative for the investors. Then you're starting to build a strategy on how you're going to, of course, produce this. If it's a physical product, how you're going to secure the chain of the supply chain, how you're going after that on the market. So your go-to-market strategy, which contains mostly, you know, statistics, contains strategy, contains content, approaches, different, you know, buyer personas development, etc. Everything that we already do in Limacon. But I haven't saw actually. I saw lots of you know, startup presentations for, you know, investment fund meeting or so, and there is no moment where you present actually your digital structure, where you can say, okay, because we are going to be an innovative, disruptive SaaS company, we're going to use this ecosystem of solutions. And I think this is vital for everyone to hear that today, if you start a business, it's essence of your, you know, strategy on how you're going to grow the company, to have a plan, not only in your head, but also written and well-structured plan of the tools that you're going to use. And I think the minimum stack of tools that you're going to use. And what you were mentioning previously is exactly that. For example, HubSpot, of course, we're talking a lot about HubSpot, but there is a reason why is that this platform, it's really there for you to be able to get the minimum for, you know, soft SaaS companies, and then just based on your specific needs, add additional tools that can seamlessly integrate within, you know, a couple of days or so, of course. And that's my next question. I'm going to that. Let's elaborate on the people again. What I see as well as the challenge is technology is out there, but then you need to have people in place within the company that can work with, you know, partners like Limacon in order to implement. How do you see the development of, you know, the technological knowledge of people nowadays working not only in digital companies but almost everywhere?
Yeah, I will answer. That's a great question. I will answer this, but let me go back to your the previous thing that you mentioned about the technology stacks and about, you know, those presentations in front of investors. What I see, and I even discussed that with you know, I'm doing something like live podcast every month with some people, primarily from US and other people and other countries. And we discussed that with one of my previous guests. He said, up until 3, 4, 5 years, nobody from investors even knew what revenue operations is. Right now, they're demanding more such solutions to be on the market, because they see such a great potential in that. And when it comes to, you know, some company presenting, you know, their growth projections, their, you know, ambitions, how they want to grow. Usually, I've even seen that in some, you know, such presentations I've watched. Very often there is a question, if not on stage, then in expert talks. Okay, you have those projections, but right now in this complex, you know, it's becoming very complex to retain customers, and always comes the question of, you know, how is the way for you to do that? I mean, are you relying on product-led growth, let's say, which is becoming very, you know, very popular nowadays, or are you relying on some other tools, and what sits behind those numbers that you have placed? So I think more and more often this is going to be a question, and this is going to be, you know,
it will be the element of success on the end, if you're going to get the funding or not.
Sure, yeah. And now getting back to your question about people, right now, every single market, no matter whether we take the West, let's say the USA, whether we take the East, let's say Singapore, every single market, in fact, East it's more like West, depending on how you consider East and West, but let's say purely geographically, no matter where you go and who you speak with, of course, as every other sphere that's right now, you know, booming, you would see that there is deficiency, you know, lack of really great expertise people. But here, what we need to know is that On the one hand, we need to see what are the people, what are the natural tendencies, natural qualities of the people that they need to have in order for them really well to develop such a knowledge and such an expertise. And here there are several directions which I've seen. It's like patterns in which people have developed into really good revenue operations professionals. On the one hand, it's very common, maybe that's the most common path. It's people who've been really great at either marketing or sales or customer success, but they have also a tendency not only for their marketing, sales, or customer service role, but they also like to think, let's say, operationally, technologically, and so on. So usually a lot of people who want to change role, let's say at the beginning more on the horizontal path, usually they go into revenue operations, just because revenue operations, just like sometimes I compare it to product management. Some people say in order to be product manager, you need to think like CEO. You need to take a lot of things into mind. That's why a lot of product managers become CEOs. And here, a lot of people, sometimes the chief revenue officer, who is like the highest position in an organization, they need to be experts in all of those, functions, operations of the department. I mean, from marketing sometimes to even finance and legal, at least some of the parts of it that are more concerning the customer. So for people who want to grow horizontally at first, getting to know all the different departments and then again growing vertically to the next stage of their career, that's a great option. On the other hand, people who are on the technology side, people who have technology background, but don't want to spend their full day, let's say, coding, don't want to spend their full day really being on the like doing the standard technical job, here is again a place for them to develop. Because again, if you are just a technology person, I wouldn't say you have such a great value in that. But if you are a technology person with knowledge on processes for customer experience, or you can speak with people, because nowadays it's very hard to find a great technology person who can speak with people like that, then again you're a great fit. And the other option, it's for operations people who are just who've just done business operations. There are a lot of such people, and want to focus on the customer operations. They're again a great fit for such roles.
Well, I think that this is a very nice end of our conversation, and I will just add here, going a little further or a little back to the roots of human development. Something that came to my mind as I was hearing what you're saying is that maybe we need to go back to schools, because what we have now is we need to have a new generation of people, of young people that are not only consuming technology. Because what we see, and I have a daughter, she's 14 years old, and she's mostly on the phone, of course. And some people will say, wow, this is great, because these are technology kids, and they will easily adopt technology. But I think that's not the case, because what they do is only consuming content. Yes, of course, creating, some stuff like sharing some photos, but they don't have the knowledge of the tools. Because when we speak about child development, you say always, okay, kids needs to do something with their hands, because it's really important for their development. I say also kid needs to know what is a digital tool and what it stands for, and what type of digital tools are there in the world, that in the future, for 100% it's sure there will be such tools that you need to use. For a very, a little example is that when we have someone applying for a job at Limacon, and I just want to, and I say to him, okay, just share your resume on Google Drive and just send me the link. and I see people having difficulties with that level of digitization, then it's hard to be able to believe that this person will be a great fit into a technology world. So I think we need to start by bringing the world of technology tools into the schools and say, guys, now we're going to have a class about what is CRM, what is actually doing, how you're going to use that in the future, of course, translate it with some words that the kids are going to understand. But this is quite important, and nowadays I think this is missing almost anywhere in the world, maybe in some customized schools, private schools or so, this is already taught. George, I know that you have a lot to say now, but just a few final words, then we need to move to the next session.
Yeah, agree with you. I wanted to elaborate on that, but I won't. We don't have time.
We can do a separate session with you. We have the whole freedom to do that. So you can invite me to your podcast, or I can invite you to my podcast. So
yeah, but also just I will add then, yes, for sure, not only private but also conventional education needs to include that. Some countries are including, but a lot are not, so they need to do that. But this, I mean, I truly believe in education as something that's lifelong. You don't educate yourself for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years or whatever, and then stop. Just especially in technology, and more industries are becoming like that. It's changing a lot, and this industry is very attractive to people who like change, who like to adapt, and it's very hostile to people who want to stay the same.
Exactly. And when we talk about the future of workforce previously yesterday, I think that it's not about what you're going to do, but how you're going to do it. So if you're going to be an accountant, then you don't only need to know laws, and you don't be great at math and statistics, but you need to know what type of software tools are there on the market for accounting, and you need to be very good and using at least a couple of them. So I think that's the idea of maybe bringing that to the educational level. So young people, when they go to the market, when they're ready, and I want to be, let's say, a marketer, I need to know at least a few things about tools that the marketers are using nowadays. But we're going to elaborate on that, I think, additionally in some other episodes of maybe one of our podcasts. So thank you so much, George, for bringing this interesting topic to us, for being with me those 2 days. Have a great evening, Saturday evening, and cheers.
Thank you, Ivan. Pleasure was mine, and a great end to this event.